Hello, friends, and welcome back for the fourth and final part of this teaching series called It's Just a Phase. And this week we are talking about parenting and technology. The message this week was a new thing that we had done where Pastor Nikki, Pastor Faith, and myself got together to have some conversations about some principles of what it looks like and what it means to be a tech-wise family. So what is a tech-wise family? Well, there isn't just one definition of what a tech-wise family is, but I can tell you that it has nothing to do with how much or how little technology we actually use. To be a tech-wise family doesn't mean you have to become Amish. You don't have to abandon all of it in order to remain faithful to Christ. On the other hand, you don't have to embrace all of the technology or all of the things to remain faithful to Christ, but rather a tech-wise family is a family that is defined by a radical commitment to Jesus, characterized by courage and wisdom to be faithful to Him online just as much as we are in person. And our responsibility as parents, as tech-wise parents, is to teach our kids what's most important about how and when and why to use technology. And so we shared in this week's message 5 principles for the TechWise family. Surely there are more than this, and I hope you have more than this, but for the sake of time, I want to review those 5 principles with you and then let you loose in your small groups to talk and discuss these principles. Now, a disclaimer as we get started here, I am not a smartphone or a technology expert. I am not an expert, and I am certainly not here to judge you or to criticize any of the decisions that you have already made as a parent and how and when and what you do as far as giving permission to your kids and to use or engage in a tablet or a smartphone or in a computer. We're all in this together, and I'm in the trenches with you just as much as you are in the thick of it. And we are going to figure out how to best love and serve and teach our kids together. Principle number 1 for a tech-wise family is this: technology is here to stay. Use it to your advantage. We know all of the woes. We know all of the data. We know all of the research that is coming out that has a lot to say about the addictive nature of our technology, particularly our smartphones and video games. And even though we were going to choose different paths about how and when to have devices in our home, we shouldn't forget the incredible benefits and the gifts that these devices have given to us. For example, the Bible app. Anyone and everyone everywhere who has a phone, a smartphone, can have the Bible app. They have access to God's Word. We have now new ways of communicating with each other, like Snapchat. So if you have kids on Snapchat, give Snapchat a try if they're on there. You might find that they communicate better with you on Snapchat. We also have more books available to us and podcasts and music. This is also because of technology, we have more creative expressions, right? Think of TikTok. What a cool way to have fun together as a family than to create or to do your own TikTok videos and just be silly and goofy and fun. It has also created, especially in this time of pandemic, an opportunity for us as small group members and as a church to remain connected to each other. That has been an incredible gift. Who knows where we would be today as a church if we didn't have Zoom and Google and Skype to remain connected and to worship together even during our weekend services. And so we need to ask ourselves a clarifying question. How is a smartphone, or anything for that matter, how is it very good? How is it cursed? And how can we as a family redeem it? So that's principle number one. Number two, cultivate a heart connection. Cultivate a heart connection through conversation. Parents and grandparents are the most effective disciple makers in the home. You are the most effective influencer in your child's life. That's a big word, right? In the social media world, to become an influencer. And so we believe that conversations must increase when technology or smart devices are made available to a child. So when we give permission for our children to be on smart technology, we need to increase the number of meaningful conversations that we have with them. So rather than pointing a finger of accusation, accusing them of maybe wrongdoing, even maybe they weren't doing anything wrong, or maybe they weren't being sneaky. Rather than pointing accusing fingers, we want to have and inspire more meaningful conversations with them. And so rather than asking them what they were up to, perhaps we can build trust by asking them questions like, do you believe that I have your best interests at heart? Do you believe that God's path for you is good? Do you believe that God's plan for you leads to life and meaning and joy? So we want to cultivate better and more meaningful, heartfelt conversations. Number three, parents are the gatekeepers to the technology in the home. You are, because you can afford it. Unless your child is old enough to afford their own smartphone and cell phone plan, you are the ones who are providing it. And the exception to that, of course, is the schools. But you might be asking the question at this point, right? When is it appropriate to give my child a tablet or a smartphone? And the answer is simply this: I can't tell you. Because there is no magic age. There is research and there are helpful suggestions, such as the American Academy of Pediatrics. They have guidelines, but the reality is that there is no magic age for giving a child a smartphone or another device. But what can you do? Well, since you paid for it, be the gatekeeper. You own it until they have proven themselves responsible enough and are able to guard their hearts in such a way where you don't have to be their gatekeeper or their guardian or their protector anymore. So that means that you get to set the boundaries. You get to establish the guidelines and have that meaningful or many meaningful conversations with them about appropriate use, inappropriate use. What's good, what's wrong, what's right, what's evil. We just too want to talk about, do you have safeguards in your home? What filters are you using on your home network? What monitoring services are you using on your kids' devices? Not because you're trying to be nosy, but because you are their guardian until they are able to guard their hearts themselves. Principle number 4, listen to and learn from experts. What are the best practices out there from those who are the actual experts? What do they have to say? And I find this fascinating. And if you have the time, I encourage you to watch the Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma. What I find fascinating about that documentary is all of the major innovators of the social media technology, including those who created the Facebook thumbs up, the like button, to YouTube and Google and Pinterest and yes, Twitter, all of them. Those who were interviewed in this documentary have kids. In every single one of them, when asked the question, if you would let your kids use social media that, quite frankly, you created, the unanimous response was no. We don't let our kids use social media in our home. Isn't that fascinating? And so we need to listen to these people and we need to learn from the experts that if we are not going to push it away, if we are not going to become Amish in our mentality, but be tech wise and be tech savvy, then there are some best practices out there. For example, have screen-free zones and times in your home, including all meal times. Consider not having smartphones at the table, not just when you're at home, but when you're dining out. Put them away. Put your phones away before you go to bed, right? Don't touch your phone when you first wake up in the morning. Have an open door policy when surfing on the internet, right? No closed doors for kids. And take technology breaks together often. Get outside, engage your bodies just as much as your minds. Feed your soul by moving, by walking, through exercise, through shared activities as a family. And then also give them more freedom as they've earned that right. When they show you that they have been diligent and they have been responsible, and you see the good decisions that they're making, let the leash loose a little bit more and give them a little bit more freedom and permission. It helps them to develop ownership and responsibility so that they can become a tech-wise person, a young adult, even after they have left your house. And number 5, we want you to know that they hear you some. They hear what you say, but they're watching you more. So the principle here, and you know it because maybe you've said this or you've heard it said to you, don't do as I do, right? Do as I tell you. Don't do as I do as I tell you. But that just doesn't work. Rather, our kids are watching us closely. And so never ask your kids to do something that you yourself aren't already doing or haven't done already. So put your phone down, give them your full attention, connect with your children in person. Also be aware of the kind of person that you are online and how you behave online, because the reality is your kids are watching and they know. Trust me, they know. You might think they might not, but if they are online and they're on social media, they know. And so we want to know, we want to hear from you. We want to know how this series has been going for you. Please send us an email or send us a Facebook private message and tell us about how the last 4 weeks of It's Just a Phase has been going for you in your small group. We would love to hear stories of life change, both big and small. Tell us your stories. Tell us what you're working through, what you've learned, what you've changed, what you're thinking about, what new habits you're cultivating in your parenting because of this series. And we are here for you. We want to resource you. We want to walk alongside you. We want to help coach and train you. And I am excited about what has taken place over the last 4 weeks in your small group. And so we would love to hear from you if you wouldn't mind getting back with us and letting us know how it's been going. So I'm going to turn you over to your small group now so you can have some better conversations about parenting and technology. God bless you guys.